My guest today is Peter Kuznick, Director of Nuclear Studies at American University and a well-known face now, especially on Republic. Mr. Kuznick is in Italy right now, and he joins us on a day when, a day after Donald Trump has actually gone ahead and slapped a 25% additional tariff on India, making India's tariff to, taking India's total tariff to 50%. And there's a strong reaction coming from India, and Prime Minister Modi today made it clear, Mr. Kuznick, that we are not going to bow down to Trump's bullying tactics. How do you see that?
Good. I think, Donald Trump, in my view, is the worst president the United States has ever had. And he's also the worst American president the world has ever had. Right now, it's August 7th. So yesterday was the 80th anniversary of the atomic bombing of Hiroshima. In 2 days, we're going to have the anniversary of the atomic bombing of Nagasaki.
Yes.
So in my view, before this point, the most dangerous president was Harry Truman, because he started the atomic bombings when they weren't necessary, and he started the Cold War. And then George W. Bush was right up there, and now Donald Trump. But Donald Trump is in some ways the most dangerous of all, because he's the most psychologically unbalanced. Everybody knows that he's a pathological narcissist. There's not much controversy about that. But what's happening now is he's having a meltdown. First, he declared trade wars against the world, especially India and Brazil and several other countries. But then he got the bad jobs reports. And what did he do when he got bad jobs reports? He fired the head of the Bureau of Labor Statistics, right? This is madness. Then he got, behind this is the Epstein scandals, which he's in the middle of. And he promised to release the files, and now he's not. And his own base is furious with him for lying about that. And then he announces that he's deployed 2 nuclear submarines toward Russia. So the man is having a meltdown. And the India tariffs are one example of that. But there's the nuclear threats. There's the firing of people who give him bad news. I mean, this is not normal behavior.
Correct.
And so I'm very worried right now because what he's doing is so provocative. But what's good is that India is not caving in. India is standing up to him. What we need now is the world to stand up to Donald Trump in unity. But when I see Japan caving in and groveling, when I see the EU caving in, what the world needs to do is say, no, this is a bully who's got fascist ideas and is threatening all of humanity right now. And so when Modi stands up to him, I'm very encouraged. But I don't want to see India make a deal. What India needs to do as a true world leader is rally the rest of the world to stand up to Donald Trump. India is part of the BRICS nations.
Correct.
This is the future, right? The United States is the past. In many ways, Russia is the past, but it's at least trying to become part of the future. China and India need to resolve their differences so they can together lead the world in a different direction. Now, I like that India still has a lot of democracy. I like that India gets so angry when Trump takes credit for settling the conflict between India and Pakistan. I mean, I like that. And I hear how angry my Indian friends are on all of these shows. But what they need to do is put pressure on Modi to take leadership, not just to stand up for India, but to stand up for the global South and the rest of humanity. And they'll have a lot of support, even in the United States, because the Americans, you have to remember that Trump's approval ratings at the 6-month mark were the lowest ever by any president. He had 40% approval and 57% disapproval. This is the lowest by any president, except for Donald Trump himself in 2017, So when his approval rating was
Thank
38%.
you.
But the Americans forgot how much they disliked Donald Trump because they disliked Joseph Biden so much. But now they're reminded of what a danger Trump is to the world. And so Americans will root for Modi if he stands up to Donald Trump and says he's not going to allow a bully to threaten humanity.
Mr. Kuznick, that's what probably Prime Minister Modi is doing, and he's probably become a magnet for other countries across the globe, and he's become a rallying point. I heard President Lula da Silva's comment that he's not going to talk to Trump. That also a pretty straightforward, in-the-face comment for Trump. But I will actually, you talked about Trump's meltdown. Now I will take your probably some hours ago on Truth Social, he has posted something like he's the first president after George Washington to actually donate his complete paycheck. Now, I read that post a couple of times. Tell me what exactly, who writes or who says something like that, that I am the greatest after this and that. I have heard Muhammad Ali saying he deserved it. Now, how will you explain that?
You know, Trump wants to win the Nobel Peace Prize. He said, Obama has a Nobel Peace Prize. I should get one too. I was the person who nominated the current winners, Neo and Adankyo, the atomic bomb survivors. They invited me to Oslo as part of their delegation because I nominated them. I can assure you that Donald Trump does not deserve the Nobel Peace Prize. But the thing about Donald Trump is when he gets confronted with his lies, he doesn't care. You know, during his first administration, the first 4 years, the Washington Post counted more than 30,000 times that Donald Trump lied. And he gets confronted with it, but he doesn't care because that's the nature of being a pathological narcissist, is that you don't care what people think. You construct this fantasy world around yourself, and you're the greatest ever. So America's got the best economy, even though 86% of American people say they're very worried about the economy. But Trump says the best economy, and we're the strongest, and we're the best, and Trump's the smartest and the most handsome. You know, he lives in this fantasy bubble that everybody who looks at it says, well, the emperor has no clothes. But Donald Trump thinks he does. So he sits on his golden toilet seats and he is cruel to the rest of the world. You know, when Elon Musk was running that Doge operation and going around with his chainsaw and laying off thousands and thousands of people, he and Trump didn't care about the human beings who had given their life to serve the government, right? He doesn't care. He doesn't care about the kids who are starving in Gaza. He still sends the weapons and the money to Israel.
Correct.
You know, so this is a different kind of mentality. Mindset. You know, it's not like you and me and most people who want to do good in the world. Donald Trump only wants to gratify his own ego. And so even though he donates his salary, he uses his office as the president to make money for his family. He hasn't, you know, given up any of his money making. Instead, he puts out new things, new books, new records, new photos, new coins, cryptocurrency, all to enhance his own fortune, because he measures himself not on the amount of good he does in the world, but on how rich he is. And he thinks that's what validates him. And he tried to say that he was a self-made man, when we know, the New York Times reported, his father gave him $490 million. And so he wasn't a self-made man. If he had just invested it blindly in the stock market, he would have had much more money than he had through his business dealings. But his MAGA supporters think that he's a great businessman. And reality is he's a terrible businessman.
And he's one of the greatest deal makers.
Time after time.
And he's one of the greatest deal makers. So that's something that, a catchphrase that he has taken too seriously. 90 days, 90 deals and whatnot.
He's the worst deal maker. And we see that with his tariffs. Even if it's only the baseline 10 or 15%, that's going to get paid by the American consumers. There was just an op-ed in the New York Times by Steve Ratner, and he talked about that Trump is an economic ignoramus, that he doesn't understand the basics that a first-year economics student would learn in college. He doesn't understand supply and demand. He doesn't understand tariffs. He doesn't understand trade wars. The United States is able to exact a pound of flesh from the world because the United States is so powerful and is such a big market, but not because his policies are smart or decent.
Mr. Kuznick, I am sure the world and America deserves better than what we have got right now.
And India deserves better than what the United States is giving you. But
yes.
stand strong because the world is with you.
India is, I think Prime Minister Modi this morning made it pretty clear that we are not going to bow down. There are farmers' interests, there are dairy farmers and fishermen. So there's a lot coming. And beyond that, the language that he has been using, obnoxious and a dead economy and all that, has not gone down well with a proud nation.
No. I did 3 speaking tours in India. I traveled across much of the country. And I mean, I saw the progress, the youth, the energy, the intelligence, and I also saw the poverty. And India is going to be a leader of the world. India already has the biggest population in the world. It's soon going to have the world's 3rd biggest economy. And there's no reason for India to bow down to anybody. And the Indian people need to know that and to encourage Modi to stand up and to lead the world against this kind of bullying and this kind of economic stupidity and this kind of military threatening.
Peter Kuznick, thank you for joining and giving your valuable time. Have a good stay in Italy.
Thank you very much. It's great to be with you.
Thank you, sir.